Well, hello there trainers, greetings, Kuroblitz here and welcome back to another video. Today I am here to discuss a hypothetical series that I would very much like to see. Well, not like to see because it's not gonna happen, but what I would have liked to see in the anime back in the early days of Johto in 1999. This is an idea that I had thanks to a Twitter post by GatorX, and I think he's going to give his own interpretation of this later on, so shout out to the guy. I'm going to leave the link in the description down below, which would be based on a post where we see, Gold and Whitney in the poster on the ruins of Alph. It's probably going to be the thumbnail for this. So I would like to imagine, and he would also like to imagine, how it would have been if every series of Pokemon they always had an interchanging cast. So it's basically, what if Ash wasn't around after the events of Indigo League, that being Kanto region and the Orange Islands. And given how we had Whitney, which would be the Misty equivalent, this means that we would need to also have, another trainer, gym leader, to, be the Brock of this role. And GatorX came across the idea of being Falkner, which I think will be very interesting because we have a myriad of flying Pokemon. We have Delibird, Gligar, Skarmory, Ladian, Noctowl, Crobat, Jumpluff, and even the birds, right? So this is basically me just going across all of what I would like to imagine a series to be. I'm going to show you the episodes, and then I'm going to show you what I'm really paralleling here. So this is basically a Johto journey of, it would be for Ethan, Whitney, and Falkner instead of Ash, Misty, and Brock. And the broadcasting of the episodes, they are going to be, from October of 1999 until December of 2001. November, sorry, it's going to be from October 14, 1999 until November 29, 2001, I believe. So it will be 25 months and 25 days, which means that 2002 Master Quest before Advanced Generation, it will be something completely original like the Orange Islands was for Ash. But I don't have that written, but I want to basically show you what I have here. So as for the first episodes, we would probably have, the introduction of, Ethan, Jimmy in this universe, but I'm going to call him Ethan for simplicity's sake. And he would probably, instead of going right from New Bark to, wherever he needs to do his errand, he would probably meet Lugia in Tojo Falls to the east of, Johto. Because if this is a parallel to the games, it means that the Indigo League also has Johto trainers. So the Indigo League that Ash participated, it's going to repeat itself. And for future episodes, I could see it being around in New Bark Town, where we see, Professor Elm in his laboratory. We would meet Ethan's childhood friends, that being, Vincent and Marina. And then we would go to Cherry Grove by episode 4, and episode 5, this is where we meet Silver. Now, Silver will be a rival to Ethan, but probably like how Paul would eventually become to Ash, and Silver's whole deal is to, dismantle Team Rocket. The fact he has a Nidoking, it's basically an heirloom from his father, that being Giovanni, which would be addressed in Generation 2 instead of Generation 4 with the games and Generation 3 with the manga. In later episodes, we would meet Mr. Pokemon, Ethan, Whitney, and Falkner. They would get their captures, and then we would have an episode in Dark Cave. Now for Ethan's starter, I am thinking of Cyndaquil, and I am imagining, probably Totodile later on, or probably Totodile being Silver's, and this means that Whitney would have, Chikorita. Whitney would focus on very cute Pokemon, probably even some baby ones, given how in the manga she got a Magby. So this would probably mean that Ethan would get an Elekid. As for Falkner, he would probably, he's the mature Brock, but he's the one that specializes in types, like how Misty was with water. And given how we have a myriad of flying type Pokemon, I would like to see this happen. So for future episodes, and let me see if everything is okay here. Where's the mouse? Oh, there it is. Let me see if everything is okay with the window. Okay, it's fine. It's a little croppy, but that's the best I can do. So the episode would continue and we get a third capture for the trio, and upon arriving to Violet City, this is where we would meet, you know, the Professor Earl from his school, and we get to see, you know, the Sprout Tower, and we get to reveal that, you know, Faulkner is the actual gym leader, and, you know, Ethan would battle him. And we would go to the ruins of Alph to meet the Unknown. We get the debut of Casey and her own Chikorita, probably a Bayleef at this point. And then we get episodes on the Union Cave with Wooper, which would probably be a, you know, not a capture because it's not labeled as such, but it would be like the Wooper episode, like in canon. And while still in Union Cave, we would meet a Lapras on a Friday, and this would probably be a shiny one. Instead of showing shiny Pokemon only with Gyarados, since Noctowl isn't in this continuity, I think, you know, showing a Lapras here, it would be extremely important. If Ethan catches more than 6 Pokemon in this hypothetical, like how Ash did, I feel like Lapras would be a cool Pokemon for him to capture because it could battle the red Gyarados that could be either Silvers or Lances. But I think this is very important to, you know, see the pacing of the story. For future episodes, we would get, you know, the arrival to Azalea Town, and we would meet, you know, Kurt in the Slowpoke Well, and then we get all the Rocket Crisis there, we get the Apricorn Pokeball, the battle with Bugsy, and then, you know, the events with Farfetch in Ilex Forest, and even, you know, the Forest Grumps with Ursaring. When it comes to Celebi and the GS Ball, Kurt already has it, but it's not going to be tackled yet. It's going to be tackled much more into the future. And after leaving the forest, Faulkner and Whitney would get their own rivals, and then, you know, Ethan would get his 4th Pokemon catch. And they would arrive to the daycare center of Route 34, and before arriving to Goldenrod by episode 30, they would meet Will, the new Psychic Elite member of the Elite Four. I think it's very important to actually establish that character, and he would probably be the one with the Wobbuffet instead of Jesse and James. As for the Rockets here, it will probably be the admins of the games, or maybe even focus more on Butch and Cassidy. As for the continuing episodes, Ethan would get his 5th Pokemon, and then, you know, Faulkner and Whitney, they would get their second rivals in Zane, the Pokemon breeder, and Sakura, the former Kimono Girl. And after that they would arrive to finally Goldenrod City, where, you know, they take their time because Whitney is the gym leader here, so Ethan would probably battle her and, you know, the 3 to 4 Pokemon that she already has at this point. And the Goldenrod arc is basically 5 episodes because we have the Underpath, the actual gym, Team Rocket Crisis with the Magnet Train, and even the Radio Tower with DJ Mary, and even the Takeover. After that, still in Goldenrod, we would have a Karen Cup. The Karen Cup, it's basically like the Junior Cup in Best Wishes, where the winner has the chance of battling Alder. So this would be, you know, a tournament, a top 16 tournament, and the winner would have the chance to battle against, you know, the newest Elite Four, that being Karen. So it would probably be something around those lines, because in Indigo we met Bruno and Lorelei, we never met Agatha, so Agatha never gets a chance to even debut in this one. I'm sorry, Agatha fans, but even the manga only did her justice in the Yellow chapter, she never returned. So continuing on with these episodes, after that we get the return of Todd Snap. I think this is a very important because we go to the National Park and we get the bug catching contest there, and we have, you know, the Sudowoodo episode because it's blocking the path. After such, we have the Ecruteak City arc that would span 4 episodes where we get, you know, a crisis in the 2 towers with ghost Pokemon and even the resurrection of the beasts. and we would get the Kimono House episode with the evolutions and even the battle between Morty and Ethan. So by episode 50, Ethan already has 4 badges, which is a very good pacing, may I add. Continuing on with future episodes, I feel like a training episode in Mount Mortar with Kyo and Tyrogue, it would be very fitting, and maybe even in Mount Mortar still, we would get to see the debut of Lance, now the champion of the Indigo League instead of being the strongest Elite Four member. And with that, Ethan would get his final catch Pokemon, while Whitney and Faulkner get their 4th. With the episode after being, you know, Ethan, they would not go to the normal route of the games, they would go by an alternative path, because I want for the Rendezvous circuit to actually be that route. So Ethan would evolve Cyndaquil into Quilava later on. And then we would get the Janine episode, instead of, you know, the return of Aya and Koga, we would get the Janine episode. And with that, we get, you know, the Lighthouse with Ampharos, and we get 2 episodes in the Whirl Islands, so I think this would be very fitting. And I just realized that I wrote a 5 instead of a 6 here, I'm so sorry, it's episode 60. Continuing on with later episodes, we will get, you know, the battle against Chuck in Cyanwood City, and then we'll get the Lugia plot. We get Whirl Islands, Cyanwood, and by returning we get the Lugia plot. So we don't stay in Whirl Islands for 15 episodes because there's no cup for Misty to win. But on the return to Olivine City, we get the 5th catch for Faulkner and Whitney. We would get an SS Aqua episode, which is the boat that goes to Kanto and Vermilion City, and we finally get the battle with, you know, Jasmine. After battling Jasmine, the trio would probably meet Eusine, because this is the events of Pokemon Crystal, and speaking of Pokemon Crystal, we have the Battle Tower now fully opened, and there's going to be a 2nd tournament being in this newly Battle Tower. I don't know who would win, but it would be a great tournament nonetheless. And on the returns, we would get the Mumu Farm on Route 39, 38, something around those lines. And we basically skip Ecruteak yet again, there's no point, just go from an alternative path. It would be the Lake of Rage special and the Rocket Headquarters special in Mahogany Town, and still in Mahogany Town, we would get, you know, the old Piloswine arc like in the anime, and even a battle with Price. And after Ethan finally gets his 7th Johto badge, we get the final catches for both Volkner and Whitney by episodes 80 and 81. Let me just check if everything is okay, it's alright. In episode 82 will be the Ice Pet episode, and episode 83-84 it will be the battle against Claire and Blackthorn, and then we will get, you know, the Dragon's Den stuff. So by episode 84, like in Best Wishes, there's 8 badge count, which is great. After the Dragon's Den, we have that mountainous rocky road back to New Bark. I want to do that, but not really. And this is where the Celebi plot comes into play. It's going to be on that route. It's going to be like a fugitive from Team Rocket stuff, with Celebi, the GS-Ball, and all that good jazz. And then, after returning to New Bark, we finally head to Mount Silver for another training arc that would last 4 episodes, and this is where Genie evolves Typhlosion. And he would probably have another matches with the gym leaders yet again, including the ones that he traveled with. And after this Mount Silver episodes, because the league is in the Indigo Plateau, in these training episodes, we would see the return of Misty, and we also see the return of Brock, with more broken teams than the original Kanto anime. And after that, I can see, you know, the preliminaries of the league, or maybe even another training arc after this happening on Victory Road for 2 episodes. It could be the final Rocket Crisis for all that we know, because it's episodes 96, 97, like Best Wishes, where we got the Meloetta arc. And then We could see the return of Professor Oak in the episode later, and probably Imposter Oak, like how the beta of Gold and Silver was meant to be. And then we get the character closure for Faulkner and Whitney, but not their departure, just the character closure, by episodes 99 and 100. And then for the final 10 episodes, it will be, you know, the arrival to the League, where we see the brackets and we get the 3-on-3 in the field battlefield. The next episode would be the ending of a 3-on-3 and the beginning of another 3-on-3, like how it was with the rock in the ice field for Ash. So it will be for Ice and Water this time around. And then in the final episode of these preliminaries, it will be the top 32, where we would see, you know, because it's 256 trainers if I'm not mistaken, yeah. It will be the rock battlefield and then it will be the rest. So these 4 battles of fields, it would be, you know, introduction battle, battle, rest, okay? As for the top 16, since it's another 3-on-3 battle, I would like to imagine that Ethan faces a character, probably Cal from the Viridian House, but instead of battling the Johto starters, he battles the Kanto starters on this, and he wins in this 3v3 that lasts 1 episode, like a typical gym battle. In the episode after, episode 105, he gets his first full battle, and he actually sweeps the competition. He sweeps the competition with 6 Pokemon, like how Brandon did with Paul, and even, you know, Tyson did for Ash, and Leon did for Diantha. This gives room for the episode later to actually, you know, be against Silver, his rival, right? It will be against Silver, his rival, and it will be 2 episodes, like former 6v6s were in the anime. And this gives room for an episode 108 for Ethan to battle Ash. And it's going to be in the finals. And Ash is going to be the one that sweeps Ethan. And he ends up winning the Indigo League, and then to later on face the Elite Four. With the final 2 episodes being the return of Ethan to New Bark Town, where he would see where his new adventure would lie ahead for the year of 2002 before Advanced Generation. So this is basically what I would like to imagine, and I want to give a reason, credence as to why. I decided to, schedule this like how Best Wishes was, scheduled, right? Episode 84, it's the final gym. The Victory Road, it's Separation Tempest. Where the protagonist loses the league, it's episode 108. We have 109 and 110 because, it's kind of like the Plasma 2-parter that we didn't got. And it kind of alludes to the beginning of episode N. And we get to Rocket Crisis in Johto, like how we got them in Kanto. And I think this is very fitting, right? For example, the battle with Silent is episode 5, but instead of doing Silent, I'm going to have Silver this time around. And the Dream Yard plot, it's going to be Mr. Pokemon. And that way, I can have, the school and the Sprout Tower and the Violet Gym. It would be, the Lenora stuff with, the museum, the training arc, and the actual badge. And this means that the fight against Bugsy in episode 23 does parallel Burg in Unova, so it's another bug type kind of battle this time around. And as we all know, in Futurely I'm going to tackle the Celebi plot, but before that we have, we needed a breather until Gym 4, like how we had, in Unova, which is only in episode 50. So I decided to, give rivals, give captures, have a tournament arc for Karen, like how we got an Imbasa Town one, and even the Rocket Crisis in the subway, it's going to parallel the Magnet Train here. And all of this National Park stuff and Sudowoodo, it's like the Route 4 filler episodes, and even the Route 16 ones where Meowth does join the crew. And this means that, Nimbasa and Ecruteak being the center of the region, population and historical wise, it does make sense. And this gives room for, you know, more episodes to even show up. Lance showing up in episode 52 parallels Alder for Best Wishes, and we get, you know, some the World Island stuff. It's like Landorus in the Milos Island, that two-parter episode, and Ethan versus Chuck is like Ash versus Clay. And then we get more episodes, and the battle against Skyla, it parallels Jasmine. The Battle Tower tournament parallels the Dynamite plot, the Club Explosion. And then we get, you know, the Lake of Rage for Team Rocket, it's Twist Mountain with Kara Costa. And then we get, you know, Bryson being Price in episode 79. And then we get, you know, Claire being Roxy. That's even a 2 battle. And I'm going to have Ethan battle Claire on a 3v6 like how Ash battled Roxy. But this time it makes sense because, you know, Ethan is a new trainer. So it's basically like in the games, give everything you got with everyone you have, and you need to defeat my 3 Pokemon, which would be, you know, Dragonite, Gyarados, and Kingdra. So she basically has Water Flying, Dragon Flying, and Dragon Water. So it focuses on 3 types: Water, Dragon, and Flying for this gym. So Ethan battles her Dragonite because one of her Dragonairs evolves, and that way it's like how he imagines himself battling Lance in that situation. This means that the PokeStars episodes for 82, it's the Ice Path, and the Meloetta arc is the Celebi plot. That's what I wanted to really focus on, because I always imagined Meloetta in Best Wishes being the Celebi that we never got. And the training in Mount Silver, it would be the Junior Cup for this time around, and Victory Road would be Operation Tempest. The returns of characters for Misty and Brock and Professor Oak do parallel Dawn and Cynthia in Best Wishes. Even Professor Oak being the imposter one in episode 98, sorry, it does echo that one beginning episode of Adventures in Unova and Beyond where Ash and Silent have to disguise as girls to go to that weird saloon competition. And then the closure for Silent and Iris, kinda, with that double battle with the twins, and even going to Village of Dragons and Opalucid. It's mainly Iris. The Village of Dragons and Opalucid, it goes with, you know, having the closure for Faulkner and Whitney this time around. So that's basically it. And I have the brackets like in the Kanto League, and even a battle dedicated to that. The top 8 sweep is the Axiul getting lost, and I don't know, I feel like this is probably a great league. It's only 8 episodes, but for the beginning of, you know, Ethan, I think it suffices. Honestly, and it goes in tandem with other leagues, because if I'm not mistaken, Indigo was 7, Johto was 8, Hoenn was 7, Sinnoh was 8, Unova was 6, but only 4.5 really mattered. Kalos was 7, and Alola was 17, and the Masters 8 was 12 of battle, and probably 18 with the recaps and the fillers, I don't recall. All leagues are kind of a mess, realistically speaking. In my personal opinion, all Pokemon leagues should be at least 12 episodes. 1 for introduction, 4 of extra battles, that's 5, 1 of break, that's 6, and then if you want to have full battles, either do 2-2-2 to be 12, or do 2 break to be 12, or do 3-3. Like, no Pokemon League arc should have been less than 12 episodes, because that's a whole season. But that's besides the point. This is what I would like to, you know, show you and tell you how I would imagine a Johto series being with Ethan, Whitney, and Faulkner. Again, this idea is going to be later on tackled by GatorX, so make sure to, you know, follow and support him, but also do it for me. Let me know what you guys think about this hypothetical Johto series anime, and what you would like to imagine seeing as the original second Orange Islands for the year of 2002, because you still have, you know, so how many episodes was Johto? 158? You have 48 episodes to work with, so it's basically 4 batches of 12. Let me know what you would do in the comments down below. Thank you so much for the support, trainers. Make sure to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you another time. Take care. Kuro Blitz out.